Hey everybody, I'm Kyle, and I'm going to show you today how to fix a loose insert on these Rogue training bumpers, okay? A couple things, bought all of these about 2 years ago, so way pre-corona. Had no issues with them up until about the 2-year mark. These ones actually aren't getting too bad. They spin, but they don't jog around. They're not really loose and rattling just yet. Had some 35s, which were pretty bad. Was able to fix those. Now I'm going to show you guys how to fix these. There was a lot of trial and error that went into this process, and learned a lot along the way, and almost broke a couple plates. So I'm going to show you guys what I've learned, and we'll get started. Now to the tools to fix said plate. You will need a heat gun, a thermometer, which was nice but not absolutely necessary, some heat resistant gloves, impact wrench, 8mm impact bit, solvents to clean these things up once you get them apart. You will also need a gasket maker and some thread locker. Why the heat gun and gloves? Because it turns out these were put together with a heat stable thread locker, and getting them apart, even with an impact wrench, is dang near impossible. I actually almost melted that thing before I got the idea. Maybe these are held together with the heat stable thread locker, and then they ended up coming apart once I applied some heat to them. All right, now for the most difficult part of this process, getting the plates apart. When I had recommended the thermometer earlier, I was trying to be smart and thought I could figure out a certain temperature to get these things to release. It turns out there's not. Just get it super hot and hope for the best. What I have found works the best is getting your heat gun, warming up the backside of the plate, which is quite thick. As you can see here, it's a lot of metal, so this takes several minutes. Get that nice and warm, then lay it down. Pick a certain screw, or like 2 or 3 screws, and alternate back and forth. Get those warm, get one super duper hot, grab your impact wrench, and then blast away. This is kind of a frustrating and hot process, so just keep going. They will release, I promise, but it takes some effort and a lot of heat. I'm not going to bore you with doing that because, like I said, it takes several minutes. All right, finally got everything apart. On to our next step, which is going to be cleaning all of this stuff up, okay? Which, once you get them clean and apart, you can see where our issues lie. Where these are failing, it's clearly not them coming apart, because you have to fight like hell to get them apart. So what's happening is they're losing contact or squeeze at the interface between the insert and the disc itself. So that's why in the next step, once we get all this stuff cleaned up and we're putting things back together, we're going to use the gasket maker around here. As it dries, it expands, tightens up this interface, and then these no longer wobble, and hopefully they never wobble again. The reason why we have the WD-40 is to degrease all of this. We want this as clean as possible, because if there's any debris or dust or dirt between these, then that will ultimately contribute to future problems and loosening. So nice and clean equals nice and tight. Finally here, time to put them back together, okay? So I've got our central insert laid, gasket maker around each side there. Slide one under, make sure that drop that, give it its corresponding portion, match those up, and then just bead of thread locker here. Notice this is just kind of standard thread locker. It's not the heat stable stuff, which we fought to get this apart. Drop that in, and then I just use 8mm Allen to tighten these back down. Usually. All right, there they are, all done, put back together, looking good.
These just need to sit and dry for 24 hours, let that gasket expand and do its thing. Couple parting notes: when you put these back together, make sure you kind of take them into a star pattern, so that way you can get really even compression across that gasket and get a nice good pinch on the center there. Also, these are still going to spin when you put them back together. That gasket's got to dry and expand and do its thing. When you come out tomorrow morning, they will be nice and solid. By 24 hours, they're going to be awesome. Okay guys, hopefully this video was helpful. It's a lot of work, but better than buying new plates.